After 17 years of marriage, my wife betrayed me by cheating and leaving for her ex. My stepdaughter sided with her, claiming he was her true love. In court, I finalized the divorce and relinquished my roles as a husband and father. Now my daughter is filled with worry. Hello Reddit, it's me again. The memory of the day my world crumbled is still vivid. 17 years of commitment and love dissolved with a single sentence. I'm leaving you. I initially couldn't believe what I was hearing. Rebecca, my spouse and life partner, stood before me looking like the wronged party. And then she uttered the words that shattered my world. It's Scott. I've always loved him. I should have been with him all along. Scott, her former flame who she once considered a mistake. But the deepest blow didn't come from her. It came from Lily, my stepdaughter whom I had raised since she was 6. I cherished her as mine own, yet now, at 23, she defended her mother's actions. The disparity between love and betrayal was stark, yet she stood by her mother with arms crossed, echoing the same sentiment. Mom deserves to be happy, Dad. Scott is her true love, she said, still calling me Dad as if it meant nothing. Despite my struggle to retain my dignity over the weeks, I endeavored to comprehend why my wife had betrayed me and why my daughter had chosen her side. However, the answer eventually became clear. They did not respect me, they did not love me. I was merely a placeholder, a provider devoid of true value. And so in the courtroom, I made my final move by signing the divorce papers without contest. I granted Rebecca everything she desired simply to bring closure. Then, in a shocking move that left everyone gasping, I renounced my parental rights to Lily. Rebecca's smug smile faded and Lily's confidence crumbled. What? Lily stuttered. You made it clear I was never your real father, so I won't be. I responded sternly. You chose her side. Now you must bear the consequences. Lily paled, my lawyer nodded, and the papers were pushed forward. And in that moment I chose to. Rebecca expected me to fight, to grovel, to beg for another chance. Instead, I left them there with the choices they had made. At first, Rebecca felt invincible. She had Scott now, the man she claimed she should have been with all along. They moved in together almost immediately, taking everything she got in the divorce and starting their new perfect life. Lily, still convinced she had done the right thing, stayed by her mother's side. But fairy tales don't exist for people who betray those who love them. Scott, the man Rebecca threw away her family for, turned out to be nothing like she had imagined. At first, he was charming, affectionate, everything she remembered from their youth. But within months, the cracks began to show. He had no real ambition, no real income. Rebecca was the one paying for everything, the house, the bills, his expenses. And it wasn't long before his sweet words turned into bitter ones. You've gotten old, Rebecca. You're not the woman I remember, he said the first time. I laughed it off the first time. She thought it was a joke. The second time, it stung. Then came the late nights, the unanswered calls, the rumors. One night, she stayed up waiting for him, only for Scott to stumble in at 3 a.m. reeking of perfume that wasn't hers. When she confronted him, he didn't even try to lie. You really thought this was forever? He scoffed, shaking his head. I never wanted to be tied down. I just wanted to see if we still had something. Turns out we don't. Rebecca's world shattered. This was the man she had thrown away 17 years of marriage for. This was her true love. She begged, pleaded, tried to remind him of the past, but Scott only laughed as he packed his things. You're pathetic, he muttered as he walked out. No wonder your husband never fought for you. And just like that, she was alone. It was in those cold, empty nights that the regret truly set in. She had destroyed everything. Her marriage, her security, her dignity. All for a fantasy that never existed. And the worst part? She knew she could never go back. A year had passed since I made the decision to let go of the life I had spent nearly 2 decades building. Despite telling myself that I had moved on and healed, some wounds refused to fade, their presence keenly felt in quiet moments. On cold nights, I often found myself staring at the empty space beside me in bed, or when passing by the old coffee shop where Lily and I used to sit as she studied for her exams. The pain wasn't about losing Rebecca. her true colors had been revealed. Rather, it was the ache from Lily, the realization that the girl I had raised for 17 years had discarded me so easily. I had accepted my new reality, no longer her father, and believed that would be the end of it. However, one evening while sitting on my back porch with a glass of whiskey, a knock at the door caught me off guard. Opening it, I was stunned to see Lily standing there, her shoulders shaking and eyes tired with dark circles. Behind her, Rebecca's appearance mirrored the turmoil within her, with a hollowed expression and trembling lips. Murmuring, her fingers grasping the fabric of her coat for the first time post-divorce, neither of them exuded certainty, lacking the confidence of women who had opted for genuine love over a man who had provided them with everything. "Please, Lily," she whispered, her voice on the brink of breaking, "can we talk?" I gazed at her, feeling only a creeping void in my chest. "Why, Rebecca?" She moved closer, her voice faltering. We made a mistake." A cold chuckle escaped me, devoid of warmth or mirth, just the bitter remnants of past heartache. "No, Rebecca, you made a decision." Her expression crumbled, revealing regret and the weight of her actions. "Scott left me," she admitted, her voice cracking. "He wasn't who I believed him to be. He used me, cheated on me, and when things became difficult, he abandoned me." I exhaled slowly. "How poetic." Lily struggled to swallow, her lips trembling. "Dad." The word struck me sharply. "You no longer have the right to address me as that," I stated. My voice remained steady but firm as tears streamed down her face, realizing my mistake. I had believed Mom was right, that Scott was the love she had lost, and I had trusted you to always be there, no matter what. Her voice faltered as she spoke the last words. "You thought wrong," I replied softly. She sobbed, holding herself tightly. "Please don't hate me," she begged. I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. "I don't hate you, Lily, but I don't owe you anything either." Rebecca wiped her tears, moving closer. "We can be a family again. I know I hurt you, but you loved me once. We can fix this," she pleaded, reaching for my hand. Stepping back, I said firmly, "No, Rebecca. You don't get to break me and then return to pick up the pieces when you realize they don't fit anywhere else. You made your choice, now live with it." Her face contorted in anguish, and Lily let out a quiet sob before I closed the door. As I stood there, I heard their muffled cries outside. Walking back to my chair, I took a slow sip of. I sipped whiskey and gazed at the sunset, experiencing a profound sense of liberation for the first time in years.